First of all, let me introduce myself. I am Paras Sidhu, and I'm working as a software engineer at LinkedIn for a little over 2 years now. Uh, I will share some more information before we actually get into the uh, actual content, where I will be sharing the learnings like from my SWE to Senior SWE promotion at LinkedIn. At the end, we will definitely have a lot of time for question and answer specific to this session or in general for the career growth. So I think, yeah, let's start it. For the information in this event to be a bit more relevant, I will give a bit of introduction, a bit of background about me. First of all, so I graduated in MSc Mathematics. I like mathematics was my interest area, and due to some family limitations, I could not pursue a very good college. Also, I did my education in a small city in Haryana, India only. After the studies, I figured out that probably coding is my interest. During the college, also, I used to code a bit, just make some app and just be happy, maybe change some colors. So, but I got to know that probably coding is something I might be interested in, and problem solving gave me a lot of thrill. So I worked upon the engineering aspect, the coding, and I finally joined a startup after finishing up my college, like after 3 4 months. So I spent nearly 2 years in the startups. In the interviews, I got to know that there is something called DSA, data structures and algorithms. So in initial interviews, I failed terribly, but then later on, I improved myself in DSA, and I then joined LinkedIn. And till now, I've been at LinkedIn since a little more than 2 years, kind of like 2.5 years. And specific to this event, my journey to Senior SWE that was completed in nearly two years. That's the time it took. So I will be sharing my learnings, what I learned, and what probably you can apply to grow faster. But before that, I would also like to give a bit of context on the senior label here, because in different companies, seniors are like there might be different requirements and different years of experience required. So I've seen the band in LinkedIn is quite big for a senior engineer. There are senior engineers with 3 4 years of experience, and then there are senior engineers with like 10 12 years of experience as well. So the band is quite big, and usually people map it to like L 4.5 to L 5.5 somewhere, or 5.7 in when compared to the industry. Cool. I think the first learning, the major learning which I had, was to connect with people. Yes, we are working in a company, so this seems very obvious, and like everyone of us, like going through the tarot content, we know that connecting with people is very important, and Rahul, Alex have discussed a lot about this. So I will be a bit more specific in my learnings here. I would suggest you to be curious and talk to different cross-functional partners like designers, engineers, product managers. So this relationship building would help in multiple aspects, I would say. So first of all, when you talk to different people, you kind of get out of that just the coding mindset. Like, I'm an engineer, I'm supposed to code only. No, that's not true at all. So it will help you build the product sense, like what the product manager is thinking, what kind of features are they taking into the product. Is there anything more they can share on the current set of features that are being developed, or any user survey? So that helps make a product sense. Same for designers as well. Another benefit of this is that it smoothens the collaboration. Like, for example, you're talking to multiple product managers, designers, but at at a point you are not collaborating with them as much, but you're still anyways building that relationship. In the future, when you have to collaborate with them, the friction will go away. You won't feel like, oh, I'm talking to a new person, so let's quickly get down to work things. So the collaboration would be uh, a lot smoother. And another major benefit of this is the feedback during the performance review. So how much ever good you do, I think performance reviews summarize everything plus the peer feedback they include. So all of that combined, I think if you connect with people, you will get usually better than average performance review rating. So the idea here is that you just not connect with people like transactionally. I know it is also sort of difficult. Like, how do I connect to people? Like, there are different kind of people, like introvert, extrovert, and then so it is a sort of a challenge that how do you actually connect to people? So it could be a virtual one-on-one. Probably you set up sometime. If you are in office, great. Any discussion around at coffee time, tea time, that that will boost the relationship building process. I would highly recommend it, and it will definitely help in all these aspects. These are some of the ways to connect with people and do the relationship building. But there is another good way which I found with my experience, that you participate in internal engineering programs. For example, there could be n number of programs in your company. Probably it's a craftsmanship week, and you are collaborating with some other team. You are probably uh, participating in a hackathon where there are new people. So in my case, I participated in accessibility champion program, where engineers are taught why accessibility is important, why we should make our apps accessible. And with that, I found a mentor who I still connect with regularly. Even though the program was like just 2 months, we share a lot of insights. He used to give me a lot of help in terms of progressing to senior level. So I'm grateful to my mentor in the Accessibility Champion program. Without this program, I would not have found him for sure. Like, he was in different time zone, very much different teams. There was no way to find help from him. So that personally helped me in my team. Like, my team lead, I used to occasionally meet him, like probably once a month, or maybe once in 2 months. He was kind enough to offer me help. He said, if you want to progress on the senior engineer path, he's happy to help, he's happy to mentor. And that is how it really helped me. Like, I set up uh, recurring one-on-ones, and he helped me set up to my path, because he was in my same org, so he was better aware of the processes and the requirements. Like, the senior bar may differ from org to org, or the requirements. Like, if it is a product team, the bar might be a bit different, or the CPP areas might be different. If it is an infra team, there are some differences, of course. So another fun fact is that you may get some chocolates as well through relationship building. So what I mean is, for once I had to collaborate with another team. So I just used to casually ask, okay, well, how does things work in this team? How this the work-life balance is. So the person on the other side was kind enough, and we kind of formed a connection. So that person was traveling from US to India, and he brought me chocolates. So relationship building is not just for work. You will definitely get more perks out of it. So moving on to the next learning, which is the crisp PRs, like to the point, pull requests. So what do I mean by this? The ideally, the pull requests should be should focus on at most like one thing, or at max like two things. We should not just combine a lot of things in a PR. So what how does it benefit? Like, if you have to have make three changes, if you divide them in three PRs, it's much faster to get a review for that. And that also helps build your reputation in the team, that okay, this person makes a good size PRs, like which focuses on one change mainly. From my journey, what I had seen, like, I worked with an engineer in my team. He used to have a lot of like mixed code in PRs. Like, his PRs were a minimum of 200 lines. They used to contain a lot of changes here and there. It was quite evident that the engineer had difficulty getting the reviews. He had to ping multiple times for reviews, and it was also the iterations, the number of iterations, they increased, like the first pass review, second pass review. But what I've seen, if there are engineers who focus on like small changes first, like this PR should do exactly one thing, and they used to get like very fast reviews. And I've seen them getting shipments in like first go. And in Taro also, I think it has been focused a lot, that focus on crisp PRs rather than just bulking everything into one PR. So another benefit of this is we are able to ship things faster. The users get more value out of our product. So this is a win-win situation for engineer and our users as well. It also makes things a bit easy to debug. It's like if your PR has three kind of changes, and something explodes, like there will never be a state that you keep pushing PRs and everything goes like in a happy flow. So there will be issues, but if you make to the point PRs, it will be very easy to debug. You can point out like maybe try reverting this commit. Okay, there's no issue. Try reverting the other commit. Okay, there is issue. That means this PR has something. So that's how to the point PRs kind of helped. So in early in my career, like at LinkedIn, I used to create like a bit of bulky PRs. Then I got some ideas from my mentor, and I also saw other people making this PR. So I tried to divide my PRs, so that naturally also increased my PR count. And yeah, I was able to ship faster, and that's a great feeling. Like kind of every day, I took an average. So kind of every day I was pushing the commits. So it naturally felt better also, that every day I'm pushing something rather than just shipping whatever I make in the full week at the end of the week. So I think crisp PRs really help a lot in this case. The other part, which I would like to suggest, is to follow your curiosity. So we are software engineers, and the reason we are software engineers, we are coding, is most probably we are very curious. We are problem solvers. So it's not just we just join the industry out of doing like anything, but our curiosity led us to problem solving and then ultimately joining the company. That's a assumption I make, and uh, mostly should be applicable to most of the folks. So in a company, in your team, you get naturally project work assigned. So my question is, did you find some room of improvement somewhere while doing the project work? Or was it like whichever class you work with, whichever API you work with is perfect? There are no issues at all. Everything has like great test coverage. So I think that's almost never the case, that things are in perfect state. Something or the other will need improvement. It could be a minor one, it could be a significant one. So during my project, what I found is that I was using an infra API, and I was checking my project for like memory leaks, like is it causing memory leaks? So I found that through that API, the memory leak was happening. So I could fix that. Like that was an easy change. But I also thought that, can I just improve the infra API itself instead of making changes in my code, so that none of the person gets that memory leak, and that oftentimes come for free. Like that infra API had users like over 30 or 40 times in different classes, different pillars in the LinkedIn app. So what I did was I came up with a proposal like, let's modify this API function like this, and this will not require changes in the consumer code, but it will help the memory leaks. Then I submitted that proposal to infra engineers. Then we had some discussion, and finally I could check in my code. So that felt really good, where I was able to find my impact area. And I, with one change, which I found through my curiosity, I could make an impact on the overall app. Like a lot of different features were using that. So a much bigger impact for a much smaller change, all in all. For your curiosity, you might also see that is whatever you're using, it could be an infra API level class, or maybe your pillar code, like your team's code, basically you're using. Does that have a good enough test coverage? In my case, like one example I want to put up, I was trying to leverage something, but that class was in separate pillars code. My team's module. When I say pillar, I basically means module here. The module did not have access to that team's code. So what I had to do was I had to refactor that and put up in like infra level classes. So I promoted the reusability here. I promoted the leverage, so that multiple teams can use that. So I once I refactored that into infra class, I reused that. But at the same time, I also found that that class did not have test coverage at all, because that was meant for like a specific team, and they thought there might not be a big use case. So I covered the test coverage for that, so that like none of the changes break, or whenever something breaks, we get to know. This helped me get a better sense of how the overall app's infrastructure works, and this also helped me get some good feedback from different engineers. I collaborated with the other team and then infrastructure team also. So like from for your curiosity, you might need some pointers. Like I would like to give some high level things, like probably whatever you're using, is that causing a memory leak at a bigger level. Probably you can find some sources and fixes for that. Or maybe there is an API function which requires three parameters, and but you can ideally need only one parameter and derive the other two. Like specifically in the case of Android, it's possible. Sometimes it's not possible, but the idea here is to make the high level API, or the very common code, can that be made easy to work with depending on the language we are coding in. And the third is, of course, lint tools. If you see a bad practice, or a code pattern which may cause any issue, memory leaks again, or other set of crashes, I would say, or wrong pattern, you can write a lint rule. I will discuss more about an example of the lint rule in one of the slides. So these are the few things where naturally your curiosity should lead you to. So this helped me get a very good feedback from like senior staff and staff engineers, and that also from infrastructure teams. So that was quite a big deal for me, because I was at a software engineer level, the base level, and uh, getting feedback from so high level people was definitely going to make my packet strong. And my manager also reflected that that was a very helpful thing. My team, the promotion committee, could know that okay, I have a strong feedback, so that means I collaborated really well, and probably I have a very good problem solving. So that really helped in my promotion. So another tip, another learning was like be a force multiplier. So what we have seen is like Rahul, Alex, they have mentioned it multiple times. Like with the higher levels, it doesn't really scale very well. That you just code more. Like you are shipping 2 PRs per week. As a senior engineer, you ship 4 PRs. As a principal, you ship like 100 PRs per week. That's not really a scalable way. So we need to find ways where we can multiply our impact. So this was a very key idea put up by my team lead. So if you're solving a problem for yourself, or probably your project, it could be a bug fix also, can you extend the solution for the whole team or your whole org as well, or like company one? So at a first glance, this seems like a very normal statement, but I still remember we were discussing things on while having tea in the office, and once I heard this, like I stick to this point. It's a very powerful line in my opinion, that whatever you're solving, probably almost always there is a chance that you can extend this solution for a larger team, and that can help a lot of people. So I will explain it with an example. So we were working on a verifications project. Like LinkedIn has verifications now, verification tech. So I had to work on a feature. I led a project where we, at the opening of the LinkedIn app, we used to show a screen that verify yourself, some benefits, and I basically led that project, and I had to also develop on Android as well as API side of things. So I was really happy. It was a major project involving collaboration, like multiple teams. But when we launched the project, like everything was good. We tested things, everything was working. We launched the project, and everything was good until the on-call tagged me. And looking at the logs of the crash, what I had seen was somewhere crash in the Android framework. So I was a bit unsure that this doesn't seem like in my code, but again, on-call had tagged me, so there was like something suspicious there. So I looked more, like what's the issue. So I found out there was a crash inside like the Android framework, and for a very specific Android version. Like that Android version was not handling certain functionality in a correct way, and there were like reports online as well. But we could not test that because it was significantly older version of Android. Like what we tested on was the like last three releases, and that's a like mostly good enough point. Like we do not test on each version. That just increases the testing time and development time. So I was very upset, and I thought I let my team down for a significant project. We had to deramp the feature that like initially we had just ramped the feature to a small audience. So that's the benefit. We could just deramp the feature quickly to like 0% people. That stopped the crash, but I also fixed the bug. Later on, my team lead and other was convinced that there was no easy way to find this issue. There was no warning. There was no nothing, like no compiler warning. So what? How did I solve it for not just myself, but for my team? From my mentor suggestion. After his suggestion, like at the starting, I just fixed it for myself. But through his suggestion, this idea came to my mind that probably I can write a lint rule to avoid such errors by anyone else at LinkedIn. I discussed with the infra teams. They had not seen this error like before, and they mentioned that yeah, this is like something very Android specific internal. So what I did, I wrote a lint rule which applies to everyone at LinkedIn coding on Android. And with that lint rule, if a developer is making the same mistake which I did, they won't be able to commit the code. So this is how I multiplied my impact. Instead of just keeping that to my team, now I could apply that to all of LinkedIn. Yeah. So I think going to the final sections now, kind of a bonus area I have kept for like a miscellaneous things. So for senior level promotions, I would suggest to get better at like one specific area. Like you can call it where people actually look forward to you. For example, if your team is very heavy on PRs, like you receive a lot of PRs from your team and the sister teams, so probably you could be reviewing a lot of PRs so that people look, hey, this person very actively reviews PRs, and I need an urgent review, so let's reach out to him. And people are looking forward to you. Or maybe you are one who is very curious and has good problem solving. So someone is stuck and they think, okay, we are stuck, we are not able to resolve it. Probably ask this person. He has a good track record of fixing like tricky bugs. So this kind of things give you an edge over others, where you're an expert in like one very generic field or a generic thing. So that's a very good bonus on top of the other kind of things you are doing, and I would highly suggest this. So coming on Taro, I think I have been leveraging Taro content even before that Taro was born. So Rahul and Alex have been kind enough to post a lot of good content on YouTube. So before the community was born, I used to watch the videos there, and I was the part of the earlier community as well. The content is actually so helpful that when I joined the LinkedIn, I remember I saw a lot of content and followed a lot of content from like Rahul and Alex. So I would suggest, since there is a tremendous amount of content, probably you would want to use the one which is specific to your individual goal. It could be a promotion thing, it could be a new job. So instead of going through all the content, try to stick to the very specific one for your like most important goal. And last one is networking is very effective in long term. You need connections even within the company, and even after you leave that company, probably you might need help sometime. So we discussed relationship building earlier also, and even with Taro, you can leverage the networking. You can connect with the people. I think the two most important things I see in Taro is its content as well as the people. So the more you network, I think there's a good a kind of a net you can make where whenever you need help, you will get, and probably you can also help others to reach their goals. So I would highly recommend networking in this sense. So yeah, just a recap of what we discussed is that building relationship is very important, and I gave a few examples of that. Uh, Probably we can discuss more in the Q&A. The other thing is land your impact faster and build a good reputation among the team by having smaller PRs and to the point PRs. To find more impact areas, curiosity is your best friend. So try to leverage that. And finally, whatever you're solving, try to solve it for a bigger team, like your team, your sister team, or the org, and that helps you land a much bigger impact. While the time commitment might not increase that much, but your impact will increase multifold. So yeah, I think we are done with it. Probably we can have Q&A now.
All right, Nick, go for it. You're muted, by the way. You gotta unmute. Nick, you gotta unmute. Are you able to unmute? What's happening? What's happening?
Probably try rejoining. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone should be able to unmute, I think, right? Dang. He rejoined. Oh, you can't unmute? That's so weird. Are other people able to unmute?
Yeah. Can anyone else try to unmute? Probably.
Can you hear me?
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can hear someone here. Yay. All right. I just made Nick a co-host. He definitely needs to be able to unmute now. Okay. Well, I think JC like spoke up for a bit. Like JC can ask your question in the meantime.
Yes. Thanks for the talk. I'm just curious to know, how do you build those network in your company? Especially, you mentioned that cross internationally because you're based not in US.
Yeah, good question, Jesse. So, in my case, the team I was working with that had some amount of collaboration with a team in US. It was like not a very close collaboration, but our team was leveraging their product to some extent. Like I was working with the groups team, for example, and our team had, because groups show feed as well. There is uh, a new post functionality as well where users can post. So I had something in common where I had to collaborate with the other team. So I think with that, what I added on top of that was to just discuss like certain other things. Like first of all, I discussed the work thing, and then probably like how it's going. Is it the work-life balance is good, or is the team interesting? So with that, a lot of people are very open. They just discuss things. They try to build network. So this is how that kind of international connection I could make through the team collaboration. The other was to like participating in internal programs where I get to connect with other people like cross time zone.
Okay, I think Philip has his hand up, but then I think Juan had his question in the chat earlier. So his question is, did you register in a document all your contributions and present it when you applied to your promotion? If yes, do you have some suggestions for that?
Yes, a very good question. I would say so. Since the overall time it took for me for the promotion was 2 years, so definitely I was not going to remember everything what I did or the most effective things I did. I would refer to the brag journal which Rahul and Alex have been talking about. What I usually try is every week I have a very rough document created. Every week I try to put 2 lines in that what I'm doing, like what I pointed out something very good in the in a code, like a probably I code a crash which could have gone to production, or probably I created something new. So I put that, and in while the evaluation comes like every 6 months, I summarize everything. So to answer your question, yes, for the promotion packet, I had to summarize everything, what I did, like when compared to the rubric of senior engineer level. I summarize things accordingly, and promotion packet actually takes a lot of time to create and to kind of reframe in a better way. So yes.
All right, I saw that Nick is able to unmute himself now, so go for it, buddy.
All right. Thanks, Paris. Great talk. So I just have this question because you mentioned that one of the ways you increase your scope was to look at like some infra API outside of your team, and you made improvements to it. I don't know if like LinkedIn has a super collaborative culture like that, but at least when I was at Meta, if I tried to do something similar, the other team would say, no, please, this is our turf. They're protected, and they wouldn't want other team members to people from external orgs to like meddle with their team. Is like they're very protective of the scope. So how can you expand your scope if like other teams are protecting their own turf and preventing you from making contributions?
I think, yeah, this is a very good question. I have faced it, and I have seen even at LinkedIn. My colleagues sometimes mention like the other folks that when they try to change anything in the infrastructure code or other teams code, they are like, it's it's our code. You can suggest, but yeah, we'll be making changes. Or sometimes I've seen colleagues giving a lot of suggestion, and even the one page document to fix it, and they say, okay, we will fix it. It's not like they were giving that chance. So I think it really depends upon the teams you are in. I would, in that case, I at least what I can show is in impact sense that I kind of collaborated with the team, even if they are not open to me fixing thing. I can kind of make a one pager where I discuss the solution, the problem. So that's one. Even though that won't count in execution, that will count in collaboration and sort of other rubric where you were able to find something. So to overcome, I would suggest like I don't have a pretty solid suggestion here, so I'm just curious if Alex has any thoughts here.
Yeah, I've been on both sides. I've like some like because as a tech lead, you have to impact, especially at staff, you have to impact other teams. And I've also been the person like, this is our turf, like protecting the turf. So I think that where things go really wrong is when it's a surprise. Like if someone like submits, if someone gets to like code review stage and they're submitting a diff into my code base, and I'm like, why is this happening? When was this supposed to happen? What's the goal? Then I would just block it like immediately, and I would be like, yo, what's going on? And if the conversation was still bad, I would bring in both the managers. So my advice is to, as almost always, is just to communicate a lot. So like if you're going to work with this other team, just like before writing any code, like even if you know like there's clearly a problem with their code base, just show them the problem, right? Like as Paras mentioned, just like show them the evidence of like, hey, like this crashes, or like this has a ton of frame drops, or like this leaks, PII or something, right? And then be like, I have a solution. I can help you with this if you want. It's like free labor, right? I can submit a diff. I'll test it super thoroughly. You can put 3 of your top reviewers on it, right? And just like come from a place of good intent. But yeah, like I think the main, like I saw this at Meta, like the main time when submitting, code, like a suggestion into another team's code base is if it's a surprise and you have no social capital beforehand. Ideally, you just have trust beforehand if you're trying to change someone's code base, right? Because like their code base is kind of like their baby. So like you don't want to mess with someone's baby, like just like out of the blue. Which is why proactive networking is like, yeah, yeah, no social capital is rough. The proactive networking is like, if you're in a situation where you realize you need trust, it's too late, right? Like you need to do this thing. You only have like 2 days to like submit, like to get this merged in. But like you're a complete stranger to this person, so they're gonna be like, yeah, just go away. So yeah, to like have the trust beforehand and just communicate as proactively and early as possible, and like show the proof, right? At the end of the day, especially if you work at like a big tech company, everything should have proof behind it, right? Because you work at like a Meta or a LinkedIn or a Google, like everything is logged. So if you are doing anything, right, you should be able to show like, I have this clear data, which proves that if we do my thing, it will level up, this module or this service or this API or like whatever.
I will just add to that. I recently at Atlassian kind of have collaborated with other teams. I think people will be okay to collaborate, but as Alec was saying, is something that comes out of the blue will be a surprise and there will be a resistance, even if you have talked to them. I think, but no one will reject something that fixes a problem. So I think maybe the case you were saying is the communicating and having, having it as a more, justifying why you need this. Because I actually, I have an open source project where I maintain, and someone, that's where you actually, the catch-up pull request actually comes in, and someone is saying, okay, I need this to be fixed. So it was a learning experience in what the problem was they were trying to solve. But at the same time, the fix was not really good because it will just broke someone else. So it's about the quality of work as well. So it's not about I'm just gonna submit you to fix it. There's a problem, I'm gonna fix it. It's about the fix, and also at some point of time you also care about your inherent the maintenance. So that's a lot of things that make people, as Alec was saying, protector of the code base. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I think Philip had his hand up before. Yeah, sorry for the wait.
Yeah, just a quick clarification. Like, I'm 90% sure I know this, but I just want to double check what crisp PR means. That's like merging 2 branches on a project, right? Like that's not the same as like making a commit that would happen like a bunch of times a day. I think you said this is something that happens like twice. Like I could Google it. Like I think, like yeah, it's just pull request, but I'm just double checking that's like, you mean like the merging of branches, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. You create your change and you merge it to the main branch or the master branch. So yeah, with crisp PR, I just meant that the PR in itself should not be doing a lot of things, so that it's easy for the reviewer to review and effectively merge faster.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, Siraj, good to see you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So I wanted to know the levels of LinkedIn. Like you promoted from software engineer to senior software engineer. What is there any, or is it like there was a mid level as well?
So there is no mid-level. Actually, the bands are quite wide, as Alex also mentioned in the chat. I was just trading. So we have this software engineer, and then senior software engineer, and then the staff. So no mid-level. Uh, I've seen a lot of people like in software engineer. Even like if there is a mid-level engineer and they have to join LinkedIn, sometimes they down level to like most of the time they down level to software engineer level, and in some cases they get the senior level, like if they have been at a mid level for a long time at the previous company.
But
Yeah.
and just a follow up question is, so you were working on the Android team of LinkedIn.
Yes. There was a reorg actually. I will be partially working on the Android side of things still, but I will be moving majorly to the API development now.
Okay, from front end or Android to back end, you will move.
Yes, backend.
Okay. And that 7 was occurred in your backend when you joined the backend team.
Sorry, can you repeat?
The 7 you mentioned that there was a crash happened the on when you was in on call. So that happened when you are in the backend project.
So actually, that was a kind of a transition period when it happened. So I was working on both Android and backend side of things both for that project when that crash happened. Yeah.
So now it's
Mm.
okay. I have one off-topic question. That do Microsoft takes internal transfer to LinkedIn? Do you know?
So as far as I know, like they treat companies as different. So
Okay.
you effectively have to resign. You have to interview like any other
Right.
candidate, and yeah.
Okay. Because in I can see in Microsoft there is a Android at Microsoft, and there the LinkedIn people also joined there. So I
Yes.
thought it will be internal transfer. Okay, that makes sense.
Yes,
Thanks.
some resources and even the perks are shared, I would say. But like from the employee perspective, they have to join. There is no direct internal transfer. Like within Microsoft, there are internal transfer. Within LinkedIn, there are internal. But cross company, I don't think there is anything like that. And fresh interviews, like any other candidate, the interviews will go.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So I think some discussions going on in the chat on the leveling. So if folks compare the levels.fyi where LinkedIn's L5 and L4 probably stands compared to Meta, Google. So I would just suggest one thing, that in the past few years the bar has increased, as in with any other companies. So I'm not sure if levels.fyi is updated now, but the expectations have really increased. So like generally what I see, the senior that stands for like L 4.5 something to L 5.5 5.7. So that's the current thing which I have as of now.
Yeah, just like in general for people who like don't work at a big tech company and are aspiring to go to a big tech company, it's yeah, as Pras mentioned, the bar is just higher across the board for all those companies. So yeah, like the historical data on levels is like all kind of messed up. But like I think in general, you know, if you look at like the meta rating scale, there's like meets all expectations, exceeds expectations, greatly exceeds expectations. So getting meets expectations as like an E4, which is a mid-level engineer, for instance, is probably equivalent to getting exceeds expectations like 3 years ago. Because yeah, just getting meets all is like harder now. So yeah, it's LinkedIn, for those who are curious, yeah, as Nick mentioned in the chat, LinkedIn was pretty renowned for its more like relaxed culture. prior to like 2023. I mean, great engineers, obviously, great product, but a place where you could like work for big tech and not be super stressed out and have decent work-life balance. But yeah, it's harder to do that now. I'm sure it's still possible, but yeah, the bar is higher now.
Yeah, I would agree that as of now, it's not like Rest and West kind of company anymore. I can confirm that.
So, sorry, just out of curiosity, and this is a LinkedIn specific question, but I've heard from my LinkedIn friends that since last year with the layoffs, the culture has changed so much. Is there actually a PIP quota now? Like managers have to get rid of 15% of their org or something?
So I think inside the company, we have heard that there is like a 10% quota where managers have to do it. In my org, what I have seen is it's not enforced. Like literally, I have not seen anyone getting paid. But I have heard story that other orgs probably. What I believe is there's no fix like 10% you have to like put on like a PIP or so. But so there should not be an enforced one. But I've seen like the PIP culture or the stack ranking culture growing since an year or so. Yeah.
It's such a shame. Like every single big tech company is like turning to Amazon now.
Yeah, any more questions from folks? On growing to senior, I guess. Yeah, we've learned enough about LinkedIn and how big tech is mean. Not much we can do about it. Hey, Philip.
Okay, I got one. And more about like your like it said that you didn't study anything about computing in school, or that you were math, and then you made the switch in. Um, was that difficult for you, like to even get interviews to begin with, like, or did that go rather seamlessly? Like, I'd be interested to hear how it started.
Yeah. So during my college time, so my education took like 5 years or like bachelor's and master's. So during that time, I had one of my mentor here who taught me coding. Like initially, we used to code like in VB6, putting a button, putting a clock, very simple things, just for fun, like nothing serious. So in college time, I developed few Android apps like to help students. So initially, what I found, it was not very difficult to land interviews. Like for me, it was completely new field. I applied. I said I have made these apps. These are on GitHub. Probably give me interview. So from the startups, I would say very small startups, I was getting the call. Uh, so yeah, again, but when I interviewed 1 year after like my first job, then I would say it was very difficult to get the interview. Like even though I had 1 year of experience, I was getting very less interviews. So probably overall the market and my experience, just to summarize, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Also, like if any of the folks have any question, like feel free to DM on Slack. I will be happy to discuss. Probably you can jump one-on-one also if there's like something detailed to discuss. But yeah, I hope the talk was helpful. And yeah, like few more minutes if there's any other questions.
All right, last chance, everyone. Golden opportunity. Oh, is LinkedIn hiring? That's a great question.
Yes, Nick. So what I have seen personally is they're hiring more in India, and in US also there's hiring. So the critical roles kind of, or maybe there's a new team forming for those very specific roles. The hiring is going on. But what in general I have seen, a lot of candidates are there, and uh, the bar naturally probably would have been a bit higher. Like just mentioning, not for this question, but uh, like companies are now in advantage in this market. So
Does Alex have a
I'll-
pip quota? I mean, like the Taro team is pretty small, so no. there's only 4 of us. It's me, Rahul, Charlie, and Rosie. So if we had a pip quota, it'd be like 25% of the company to remove one person. Resources folks can point to for interviewing for senior engineer position. Yes, I have many. I recommend checking out the behavioral interview course and like the just the general resources on mid-level to senior promotion, because generally what happens when you start interviewing for senior and staff is that the interview content converges with what you actually do on the job. So especially for big tech, so generally like for L3 and L4, which is junior and mid-level, kind of the deeper fundamental skills like leadership and project management are not too developed, which is why those interviews tend to be very like data structures and algorithms heavy, like especially for Google. Like Google L3 to L4 is like all leak code DSA stuff. But like once you go to L5 and L6, generally the companies will remove the DSA and they'll put in more behavioral and system design, and they'll judge them far more harshly. And you like just need like those interviews, especially for Android, are just very practical. Like I haven't really properly studied for a behavioral or a system design interview in like years. Like when I was interviewing for Robinhood, I didn't really study because for system design they had me build Messenger, and I already know how to build Messenger because I worked at Facebook and I've built messaging apps for fun on the side. So I just like walk them through that. And for behavioral, they just like asked me about like projects I did and like resolve the conflict, and I've done like a lot of that as a tech lead. So I just like told them what I did and had a very reasonable discussion about leadership and managing relationships and managing projects, controlling for risk, and all that stuff. Oh, there's a lot of questions now. Can you please comment on why LinkedIn's critical role kind of doesn't exist in the UK, like ML engineering? Very specific question.
Yeah, I think I replied there. I don't think LinkedIn has engineering presence in UK. Mostly US, India, and somewhat in Ireland.
All right, any other questions? All right, cool. I don't see any raised hands. I guess we can just call it a bit early. Ross, you have anything? Any last words of wisdom?
Yeah, I mean, just to answer Nick's questions, I'm not sure about him. Like probably, like even remote, I'm not sure. Like different countries, probably is not allowed. So yeah, I think to summarize overall, it's a great and fruitful journey. I would say any promotion from junior to mid or mid to senior or above, uh, it's really a good reward which any engineer can feel. So even Taro has a content that promotions are underrated, like what we see it as a maybe a compensation bump or something, but they are truly the base of the career. So I would highly recommend, if you are up for promotion or you are making the path, feel like jump on the call with manager and make a proper path which you can follow, fill in the gaps, and then apply for the promotion. The market is bit strict, like the companies with the promo these days, many companies, but yeah, like it's highly rewarded, I would say, the promotion. So if there are any questions, like feel free to jump in the DMs or the public Slack channels. I will be happy to discuss more, like if there's anything specific. Nice, Nick.
All right. Thanks so much for the talk, Ross. Yeah, I guess we're good on questions. Yeah, I'll see you all later. All right. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.